mortgage on the farm and bought an automobile. I picked it out of a mail order catalog and had the Farmers National Bank of Funkin' Center send them the money. While in about a week it come by freight, and we got it unloaded, and Jim Lawson hauled it up to our front yard, and I think all Funkin' Center turned out to see it. And Nancy ain't been as tickled over anything since her crazy quilt took a prize at the county fair as she was over that joy wagon. Well, I felt it in my bones that I'd made a fool of myself, or soon would, so next day I filled it full of gasoline and got all ready to take Nancy, Jim Lawson, and Ezra Hoskins out for a ride. I got out the book of rules, and the more I read it, the less I knew about the innards of that machine. Jim said I had to turn the crank to shoot it off. I turned that crank until my eyes stuck out, but it wouldn't budge. Nancy said the bobbin was wound too tight, or else the shuttle was threaded wrong. Ezra Hoskins said he thought maybe I didn't have the right kind of gasoline and wanted to sell me a barrel he had at the store. By that time, all the Funkin' Center was there giving advice. Lige Willett said I ought to talk kind to it and offer it some oats. Hank Weaver said maybe I ought to lead it around for a spell until it got to know me. And Cy Pettingill said maybe I hadn't watered it yet, and Deacon Witherspoon wanted to offer prayer. Well, I grabbed hold of that crank again, and it flew back and hit me on the shins, and I sat down in the yard to think it over, and Nancy said the language I used was just shameful. Just then Jim Lawson said, "Don't this plug go in somewhere?" We found where it went, and I turned the crank again, and that machine commenced to rear and snort and started off like a skyrocket, and there was a lot of things happened in less time than it takes to tell it. That machine started off across lots and took everything with it. It run over Hank Weaver's dog, tore a hole through Willett's picket fence, knocked over Cy Pettengill's beehives, and kept right on a-going. While I worked every lever that machine had, and every one of them made it go faster. Nancy was screaming, Ezra Hoskins was praying. It wouldn't be right to tell what Jim Lawson was doing, but Nancy said it sounded like he was talking to the Lord. Just then we went through Ab Whitaker's wheat field and started on fire, and I managed to steer it onto the turnpike road, but that didn't help matters any, because it only hit the road once in a while. It tore down the toll gate, ripped out one side of the covered bridge, then started off through Gabe Fisher's pasture. It killed 4 sheep and a calf, and then run into a haystack. That's all I remember now. All I've got to show for that joyride is a broken leg, some rubber tires, 6 lawsuits, and a mortgage on the farm. Nancy says if we ever own another one, we'll have a regular chiffonnier to run it. I ain't saying much, but I've got a lingering suspicion that all my joyriding will be done in the old buckboard wagon.